are Ralf and Christina and travelled through Europe in our four-wheel drive sprinter named Miles for a full year. Now we've settled down in Switzerland and are going through hours of video and photo material from our travels. Join us for our first videos as we relive our time in Iceland. In addition to driving on some off-road routes, we also visited some more classic tourist attractions, such as the continental fissure on the Golden Circle. If you only have a few days in Iceland, you will definitely want to do this day trip. Right afterwards, we will head to the airport. Not because one of us has to leave, no, a good friend is coming to visit and will spend a few days with us. Of course, the first thing we do is drive to the volcano once more. Even though there were a lot of clouds, the atmosphere was sizzling. Ralf had never been enthusiastic about exploring Iceland on horseback, but now I finally had a more than willing companion and the opportunity to do so. Because where else in the world would you love to get on the back of the iconic Icelandic horses? Four-legged friends also accompanied us the next day, when we were back in the highlands. Together with tourists, herds of horses are driven inland, where they will enjoy a few months of freedom.
Jetzt kann man richtig sehen, wie tief es ist.
Da läuft jemand davon. Oh, ein Zweigstreif.
During this encounter, the horses were also extremely helpful to establish the depth of the water. Just a few days ago, this specific ford was too deep for a sprinter, but we dared to head through. In the evening, we saw motorized gliders, certainly an impressive way to see Iceland from above. We only had our drone for this. The next day, we had a longer journey ahead of us. Base destination, a remote campsite by a lake. Further via the F208 and then onto a very special road, the Faxasund. We'll tell you more about this in a moment. On the route, we are faced with countless water crossings and the typical landscape of the highlands of Iceland. Have fun with the following drone shots. In our book, sections of the further route, the Faxasund, were described as rather difficult. We also read online that only specially equipped off-road vehicles were allowed on roads away from the officially numbered F-roads. We didn't find out what exactly that kind of vehicles were. In our opinion, the Sprinter is not one of them. There are completely different kind of vehicles driving around Iceland, but our guest was so enthusiastic about the idea that we were gripped by a sense of adventure. We gave it a go anyway. And so, we ended up on one of the most beautiful routes we were able to experience on our trip.
Hey, lauf mal! Schneller! Aber ich glaube, ich gehe auf die andere Seite.
Once we arrived at our destination, the distinctive camping kitchen was the highlight of the campsite. Next day, we slowly made our way back to civilization. next episode will be the last from Iceland. We're visiting Askja, are going to explore some final great gravel roads, and for once rely on the help of the Icelanders.